Hi, it's Maggie, the Irish Gypsy, here to bring you your February 2018 general readings. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to any newcomers. Thank you for all your continued followings and your likes, shares, subscribes, and support, feedback, and comments. Always appreciated. And always a thank you to all of my clients out there as well, both regular and new clients, for keeping me so busy and joyfully occupied with personal one-on-one readings. If any of you are interested in scheduling a personal reading with me, you can go to my YouTube channel's homepage and click on the little About button. That'll give you some more information and my contact details. You'll also find my contact info attached to the description of every video that I post. I do a wide variety of readings in all areas of life, including relationship compatibility spreads for specific relationships, and also 6 and 12-month overviews, which look at the energies coming into your life in all the main areas of your life over a 6 or 12-month period of time, depending on how far out you want to look. And those are usually, you can do them any time of the year, but they're always pretty popular at the beginning of the year because people want to kind of take an overall look at the year. So check those out if you're interested. I do personal readings full-time, 5 to 6 days a week. It is what I do exclusively, so turnaround time is pretty fast. It can be anywhere from a few days because I usually get reschedules as well. It can be anywhere from a few days upwards of a couple of weeks, but almost always within a couple of weeks or so we can set up a reading for you live or recorded. For those of you who are not looking for the more traditional intensive readings, the in-depth readings, you just maybe have a quick question or two you want to take a quick look at. Maybe you have a decision you need to make on the fly, or a person or a situation you want to take a really quick look at. You can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo under Irish Gypsy. The link to that's also with my contact info. That's a cool smartphone app that you can choose. You can click on my profile and choose the one question, one answer option for a more immediate way of getting a hold of me, or a quicker way of getting a hold of me, assuming I'm not sleeping or otherwise occupied, of course. You can choose the one question, one answer option, or you can open it up for a little reading via text. They also have a video chat option. So if you're just looking for quick questions, you just have a couple of quick questions, you just need some fast answers, not the traditional in-depth readings, you can connect with me on Instantgo too, anywhere between immediately to very quickly, almost always the same day. So check that out if you're so interested. Technologically cool world we live in today. All right, let's move right into this. This reading is for the Earth sign of Capricorn for February 2018. I know some of you don't like the longer intros, particularly those of you who watch my channel regularly, so just fast forward to where the reading begins. So the Earth sign of Capricorn for February 2018. Let's see what February potentially has in store for you Capricorns out there. Make sure to check your rising and your moon sign for more insight and clarity, because these are general readings. There's lots of you watching. It's going to resonate differently for everybody. Okay, Capricorn, we begin with the 5 of Swords, followed by the 9 of Wands. We have the 2 of Wands, followed by the Ace of Pentacles. We have the Sun, followed by the 4 of Pentacles. That's great. And the Star, followed by the 3 of Pentacles. It looks like a pretty good month overall, Capricorn, particularly the last half. It looks like the first half of it is just kind of about pushing through stuff. So this is for February 2018. I am recording them in the last week of January, the last few days of January. Actually, today is January 30th, and you, Capricorn, and Libra are the last two that I have to do. So this could be for some of you, as time is fluid, and these are general readings, it could be going on the last part of January for you, first part of February. Let me just take a look here. Yeah, it looks like for a lot of you, it looks like it's about pushing through for a lot of you. Oh, I don't know if I remember to say this or not. From the bottom of the deck, your overall energy and guidance is strength. So it looks like a lot of you, this is probably going to resonate for a lot of you watching in the work, career, finance, or project part of your life. Something that you may be building on, particularly if it's building on something for your future, or if you're having new beginnings, but they have to do with a long-term future or vision. Some of you, this may be in the relationship area of your life, because it's a general reading, it's going to resonate differently. But you have an abundance. There's actually no cup cards in this, which is water energy, which is about emotions, feelings, relationships. You can translate always this energy into other areas of your life other than what I'm just channeling. The specifics and details will vary, but the energy remains the same. But for most of you, it's mostly pentacles. You have 3 pentacles all next to each other. You have a couple of wands and 1 sword. So wands is fire energy. It's all about building and manifesting and growing. It's very action oriented and fluid. Pentacles is earth energy, so it's often about earthly, tangible, concrete things like money, finance, job, property, assets, resources, house, you know, things that we can see and touch and feel in the day-to-day concrete world we live in. So it looks like for a lot of you it's going to resonate, you know, in concrete. The energy is concrete areas of your life, things that you're working on building on in a very realistic, practical way. It looks like the focus is on that in February, and it looks like the first half of the month, end of January, first half of February, is kind of about you may feel that you've maybe hit a barrier or a hurdle or a challenge of some kind, or perhaps a delay. Maybe you weren't expecting it and you're feeling kind of tired and worn out. The energy and some of you are actually preparing for a new beginning of some kind that you've been working for a while, and that new beginning is tangible. We have that Ace of Pentacles here. So that's often a card about moving and relocating and new jobs, or a combination of all of those. So some of you may be, you know, in the final stages, or moving, getting ready to move, relocate, start a new job, or move and relocate in order to start a new job, which can always be a very stressful time. I hate moving myself. I don't like the chaos of it. Yeah, so it feels like the end of January, first half of February, you may be feeling, maybe there's more delays, there's more struggles and challenges, but the advice is to push through. We have the 5 of Swords and the 9 of Wands. The 5 of Swords is about winning, coming out ahead, winning out in a victory. Technically, I say technically because the question which always accompanies the 5 of Swords is something worth it? Has it been worth it, or is it worth it? This is a victory which came at a pretty high cost, or it either came at a pretty high cost, or it represented a lot of struggle, effort, challenge, etc. You can see this man has overcome his enemies, his foes, or a challenge of some kind. He's gathered up all of their swords and he's holding his own aloft in victory. But this battle has cost him. I mean, the colors are still kind of bleak and murky. He looks tired, worn out, exhausted. He's bleeding from a little cut on his forehead. This has been a battle which he has won, but it has come at a high cost, and sometimes the people on the ground behind him can represent that part of the cost of coming out ahead or winning can be relationships and people. Sometimes it's in a negative sense. Sometimes this card comes up like in career, when someone is so driven and so ambitious, they're so focused on getting ahead that you know, they end up hurting people or stepping on people on the way up. So has a battle or a challenge been worth it? Or I think for a lot of you, is it worth it? Sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. It calls you to kind of take a step back and ask you what's important here, what's the priority here. If you are already in a victory stance but you're not feeling particularly victorious, has it been worth it? I think for a lot of you it's about kind of being at the tail end of something, feeling kind of tired and worn out, and asking yourself, is this really worth continuing? However, I think for most of you, if not all of you, the answer is going to be yes, because it's clarified and accompanied by the 9 of Wands, which represents, I always call it my 11th hour card. It's always darkest before it's dawn. Push through, you're almost there kind of energy. We're at the 9 of Wands here. 10s in the tarot represent, you know, things coming to a close, cycles ending, or coming to a closure, a sense of culmination where something transitions into something else, if not a complete ending and a complete new beginning. So this soldier who's fought a lot of battles, a lot of struggles, kind of like this guy in the 5 of Swords, He wants to be done. He's tired. He's almost there, but he's run into this obstacle, delay, challenge. He's withdrawn a few steps. It can represent feeling, you know, I thought I was almost done. I thought this was almost over with. I'm tired. Is this worth going on? How do I get through this? How do I get past this? But you're almost there. The accompanying advice to the Nine of Wands, it's the push through. It's the power through. I know you're tired. I know it's difficult, but you're almost there. It may feel darkest right now, but the sun is coming up in just a few minutes. You're almost there, Capricorn. Push through. So end of January, beginning of February, you may be feeling kind of tired, worn out, discouraged. Maybe there's a last minute delay or an obstacle or a hurdle, some kind of hoop you have to jump through. You weren't expecting it, but push through. You're almost there. Now next to that we have the Two of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Excuse me for sounding a little squeaky and froggy. I'm recovering from, or I'm at the tail end of recovering from a very bad cold bronchial flu thing, which is like all over the place here in Northern California. Half the people I know are down with it. It swept through my whole family. I'm actually recovered, but my voice is still kind of coming back, so excuse me if I sound like a frog. Okay, Two of Wands and the Ace of Pentacles. Long-term thinking and planning, looking down the road, choosing, picking, deciding, focusing on your long-term vision, your goal, what's your dream. It represents being at a crossroad. This man is at a crossroad. He's trying to figure out, do I go left, do I go right? Which path do I choose? Well, the key is in knowing what your destination is, where you want to end up at. What's your big picture, your long-term goal in whatever area of your life this is resonating in. Again, for a lot of you, I think it's in career, work, job. For some of you, it may be projects or something you're working on building that has to do with your future. This is not a quick scheme. It's something that you're working on for your future. It's very difficult to plan for a trip, particularly a long trip, if you don't know what your destination is, where you eventually want to end up. You know, how do you know what to pack? How long you're going to be gone? What's the weather going to be like? So this is about looking down the road long term. Some of you may not have a clear vision of what your end goal is, or your big overall picture and vision and dream is. This is a card which asks you to examine what that is and become more definitive and clarified about it. And for those of you who have, you know, your long-term goal and vision already set in this, it may be asking you to take another look at it. Is your long-term goal still what you're working for, still what you want? Do you need to change it, re-examine it, tweak it a bit here and there? It's pausing to take a look down the road. Now it's clarified and accompanied by the Ace of Pentacles. Aces represent the number 1, so they always represent new beginnings or opportunities for new beginnings, being at the start of a new path. This one's tangible, practical. It's Pentacles, earth energy. So it's tangible new beginnings. Makes a practical change, or has a practical effect in your life, a concrete one. It's often moving, relocating, starting a new job. Sometimes it can represent receiving an unexpected sum of money, which enables you to have a tangible new beginning or gives you the resources to begin something new. Sometimes that can be new projects, new businesses, but tangible new beginnings, concrete new beginnings. Some of you may be in the process of moving, relocating, starting a new job, starting a new business, kind of trying to get it together and plan for the long term. Some of you may not be in that energy, but you may have just hit some point in your life, in your work, career, a project of some kind, or what you've been working on investing in or working on moving towards. Do you still want that same thing? Are you still looking at the same direction, or have you just gotten kind of caught up in the day-to-day routine of what you do day-to-day, and you haven't even stopped to take a look at, am I still working towards what I want? You may be contemplating changing your long-term goals and visions, or finding that they're changing, and maybe you're considering making a fresh new start in a very tangible, concrete way. Maybe this is something you're considering. Maybe switching jobs or looking at different career paths, or maybe you're thinking about moving and relocating because it's going to be better for you in the long run. So the first half, it feels a bit more, you know, okay, I'm tired, maybe a bit discouraged, maybe there's some delays or things that that have come up that you weren't expecting because you know, you're either trying to establish a new beginning, you're in the process of establishing a new beginning, or you're contemplating establishing a new beginning, something that also causes you to look at your long-term goals, to examine your long-term goals or re-examine your long-term goals. So it feels a little heavier in the first half of the month, but that really loosens up quite a bit in the last half. So around the middle to the last half of February, time being fluid always, we have the sun. The sun comes shining out along with the Four of Pentacles. Sun's great. Best card in the tarot in terms of brightness and positivity. Probably next to the star, which interestingly enough you have right next to the sun. You have the sun and the star both. They're a card. They're beautiful, beautiful cards. They're about uplifting of energy, renewed hope, faith, and optimism, which is what the star is about. The sun, when the sun comes out, it's beautiful. Life, love, warmth, laughter. It illuminates everything. It banishes the dark. It makes living things grow. It always represents a loosening up of perhaps previously restricted energies, and it is paired with the Four of Pentacles, which can speak of stability with money, but it can also speak of holding on tightly to money or resources because maybe you've lost a lot previously. You're holding on tightly to what you have. In an emotional way, it can represent, you know, being kind of closed off, guarded, very protective of your emotions and your feelings and your heart, depending on what area of your life this is resonating in. It's sometimes called the miser card. It's usually a card when it represents holding on too tightly or being too miserly, whether that's with money or with your love. It's usually because the person comes from a history where they've lost a lot in the past or had a lot taken from them, and so they have a tendency to hold more tightly what they have. The sun loosens up that energy, whether it's in a monetary sense or an emotional sense. It always represents a loosening up of energy. Money issues getting a little bit easier, a little better. Breathing, a deep sigh of relief. The sun also just has a strong energy of fun, laughter, you know, loosening up, having fun, social connections. Excuse me. Whatever areas of your life, Capricorn, that have been feeling maybe kind of heavy, kind of bogged down, kind of maybe a bit dreary or grim, maybe restricted, maybe finances have been a little tighty, you've had a lot of worries and anxieties, something occurs around the middle of the month, maybe the third week or so of the month of February 2018, that makes things loosen up a bit. Tensions, anxieties are lessened or even negated for some of you. Because in general readings are often more difficult than personal readings because you're trying to interpret for such a large, relatively unknown group of people. The intensity of this is going to vary. For some of you, it may lessen this restrictive or heavy energy. Some of you, it may completely negate it. But there's a sense of things loosening and of things opening up instead of this clinging tightly. It's about loosening up, opening up, letting go a little bit more. There's something that happens which gives you a renewed sense of hope and faith and optimism, because next we have the star, which is right next to the sun. I mean, beautiful, beautiful energy. It's like the sun comes out, energy starts to lift up, the star follows it. This is hope, faith, a wish fulfillment card too. It's a card that can represent not just getting what you want, but having faith that the path that you're on, the path that you're headed on, perhaps this new beginning, is going to lead to your wish fulfillment, and trusting in divine timing and orchestration, even if you can't see how it plays out, trusting that you know, I mean, when you think about source, universe, your angels, spirits, guides, they love you. They want you to be happy and healthy and successful. In a very real and deep and meaningful and joyful way. They want us to grow and evolve. And so it's about trusting in the path that you're on will lead to that. Trusting in divine timing and orchestration, that the events and the path which has been placed in front of you is there for a reason. Follow it. It's going to lead to your joy and fulfillment, even if you can't see it right now, even if you can't see where it's going. Particularly in reaching whatever your goal is in this area of your life. Job, work, career. There's this, I'm feeling kind of a strong emotional connection here. So if it's in job, work, career, or some other kind of project, if it's not in your relationship, you know, personal relationship area, I feel like it's something that you've been maybe working on for a long time or dreaming about for a long time. And something is happening, some kind of movement or growth or possibilities in a very tangible way are coming about. So the last half of the month, you feel a lot brighter and a lot more, you have a lot more faith and confidence in where you're going and the ability to get there and the ability to achieve it. That star card, that card of almost a childlike sense of hope, faith, and optimism, trusting in the universe, putting one step in front of the other, doing your part of the work. Spirit will meet and match you every step of the way. It's paired with the Three of Pentacles, which is about, it's about teamwork, it's about working with other people, but it's also about celebrating what you do, what you create, what you build, and celebrating the initial completion of something. And I say initial because it's kind of, again, like that Two of Wands, about a long-term project or a long-term goal, which has different goalposts along the way before you ever reach the final conclusion. It's kind of like in other tarots, it's depicted as, a couple of work guys and an apprentice, and they're building a cathedral or something, and they're looking at the plans. There's little goalposts and mileposts along the way. This is not a card of the end completion of something, but it's a card about initial achievement of certain goalposts along the way. You've met some of the smaller goals, which gives you faith and hope and encouragement on actually reaching completion, the final project being completed down the road. And it's not a solo energy. These big kind of projects require other people, collaboration, help, reaching out, receiving help, asking for help, collaborating together, even if some of the work you do is on your own or the initial idea is on your own. It's not a solo energy. It's about building together, and celebrating these initial successes, these, getting to through the small goals, which gives you hope and success as you've moved closer and closer to the final completion of something. So it looks like you're building on something, and it's about having, and it may feel at the end of January or moving in the first part of February, maybe discouraged, maybe your vision gets a little dimmed, or maybe you just think, is this really possible? But you're doing it. And for those of you who don't think your dreams are possible or are afraid to take those first steps and choose a path that leads towards this long-term vision and goal, it's possible for you. It is out there for you. Now, your overall energy and guidance for all of this energy seems to be focused on building and creating for a long-term future is strength. And it's interesting because when this card first came out, I saw it as temperance for some reason, and then I saw it for what it was, which was strength. And then when I went to announce it to you again, for some reason I saw it as temperance. So I'm almost surprised that temperance didn't pop out with it, because I feel like an advice of temperance too, which is about being balanced, grounded, not getting emotionally overloaded is kind of what I'm getting, which would kind of be very good advice, particularly in the first part of February, Capricorn, when you hit this kind of discouraged, I'm tired, do I really want to keep doing this kind of energy? Power through. It's not going to last very long. Strength is about facing fears, doubts, insecurities, wrestling with those demons, looking at yourself, what you can change, coming to grips with those aspects of things you don't like, particularly about yourself, and having the courage to face them head on, move through those fears, doubts, insecurities, make the changes you need and can make, and move through it with a greater increased sense of inner strength and wisdom and insight. It's a beautiful kind of wrestling with your own demons and coming to terms, making changes, coming to terms with who you are, and the better person that you can continue to be, and moving through that. And again, I'm getting temperance in the back of my mind. So also remember to stay balanced and as serene and emotionally balanced as you can this month. Try not to let, if you hit any discouraging points, remember it's transitional, they're temporary, they're not going to last long. Don't lose your hope and faith in what you ultimately are working towards building. And if you're afraid to make that your goal and to start to actually set out on a path that leads towards that long-term dream, you can achieve it. And remember that if that's where you feel compelled, then that's God's spirit, your angels and guides, your intuition, which is your connection to spirit, leading you there. Have faith and trust in that, Capricorn. So that pretty much wraps up your February 2018 general reading. I hope you found it useful and helpful, because that's ultimately why we do these readings. I will see you all again in a couple of weeks for the February 2018 mid-month readings. Isn't the beginning of this year passing by in a blink? Again, if any of you are interested in scheduling a personal one-on-one reading with me, just go to my YouTube channel's homepage, click on the About button. That'll give you some more information and my contact info, which you will also find attached to all the videos that I post under the description. You can email me directly at maggie1mcguire@gmail.com. I would be delighted to work with you and set up a reading for you as quickly as we can. And for those of you who are looking for a more immediate or a quicker same-day response, you just have a quick question or two, you're not looking for a deeper, more intensive reading, you can also find me on the smartphone app Instantgo, and my link to that is also with my email with the rest of my contact information. So I will see you all again soon, Capricorn. And until I do, as always, I wish you joy, peace, blessings, and a happy life. And I hope to see you back here again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.